It's a rivalry you don't want to miss. We've got live updates on the Chiefs pregame at Arrowhead Stadium. And famous American astronaut and U.S. Senator John Glenn dies at age 95. We'll take a look at the life he led and the legacy he leaves behind. Good evening. Thanks so much for joining us right now at 6. I'm Jared Broyles.
And I'm Brooke Lennington. It's a big night ahead for Chiefs fans as they prepare to face a division rival, the Oakland Raiders. We'll have complete team coverage of the game throughout the night, but first, KSNT Sports Director Matt Gasper is on the field right now to bring us a preview of conditions and what to expect throughout the game. Matt?
Brooke, good evening. Yeah, when I talked to you last hour, it was cold. I think now it's gotten a little bit colder. The wind chill, crazy. Even down here on the field, it's very, very chilly. The ground we're standing on right now, frozen solid. The field, it's only going to get colder as the night goes on. Definitely something these teams are going to have to find a way to deal with, because weather, of course, is going to be a factor once again tonight in this huge AFC West showdown between the Chiefs and the Raiders. If you love rivalries and you love football, this is the place to be tonight. Arrowhead, they actually are supposed to be opening the doors here any second. Now we're waiting for the announcement for people to come down. We're still an hour and a half away from kickoff, but people have been out in the parking lot since about noon, 1 o'clock in the afternoon today, all getting ready for this. Everybody's ready for some football. We are too. We're going to have a lot more. I'll be back a little later on in sports. We'll be able to hear from Derek Carr, Alex Smith, a couple other players as they get closer to this game. Some Raiders guys warming up here behind me in what they expect to be a very, very cold game, something they're not used to. We'll see if the Chiefs are as well. I'll have a lot more coming up a little bit later on in sports. At Arrowhead, I'm Matt Gasper. Brooke, I'll toss it back to you.
All right, sounds good, Matt. And of course, we'll check in on the tailgating scene in the parking lot with KSNT Sports' Zoldy DeJungen in just a moment. But first, it's definitely going to be a cold night, as Matt said, for those dedicated Chiefs fans.
But can we expect the chill to stick around for the weekend? Let's check in now with KSNT Storm Shack Chief Meteorologist Matt Miller to find out.
Well, the cold air is most definitely in place for this evening, and for the Chiefs game tonight, we're looking at bitterly cold temperatures, but the wind chill most of the evening hours over at Arrowhead and most of northeast Kansas will be included in this, near 5. So it's definitely going to be a cold evening, and this cold air in place with clear skies, current temperatures in the teens and low 20s, from 20 at Kansas City, 16 at Lawrence, 21 in Manhattan, with a northwest wind and wind chills already. Most of the area have fallen down into the single digits and teens. A closer look at how long before we warm up. That's still to come.
Well, fans have been at Arrowhead Stadium since the lots opened at about noon today.
And you just heard Matt Miller explaining what the weather will be like tonight, but how are the fans dealing with it? For that, we go back to Kansas City to join Zoldy DeJungen. Zoldy, you staying warm out there?
Well, guys, when the sun was out, it really wasn't that bad, but now the sun is gone and the cold is starting to really settle in. However, for the fans that have been out here since noon, they would have been out here no matter what the temperature would be. A familiar sight all around Arrowhead Stadium, a sea of red with a few sprinkles of black. But with all one thing in common, they're all bundled up to the brim.
Oh, yeah. It's not bad right now. It's not bad. It's a little frigid, but I got my fire going. I've got on several layers right now, and then my Chiefs scarf keeps my face pretty warm.
With the forecast of below freezing and the wind chill in single digits, the fans knew what they got themselves into.
Cold weather, 13 degrees.
Right now the field's froze up, they said.
Yeah.
But, we're from Oakland, and you know what, we don't like the cold, but hey, everybody's got to play in it. There's no excuses.
And many followed suit, as thousands expected to be in attendance for one of the biggest games this season.
The best Thursday night football game of the year right here. This is going to determine who wins the AFC West. It's going to determine who gets first place home field advantage throughout the Super Bowl.
So, with that being said, will the cold really affect some of the fans tonight?
It doesn't matter because we're going to win. Yeah. We're going to be warm with the victory. Let's go, Chiefs! Let's go!
Now you heard them expect Arrowhead to be once again loud and proud when these two teams kick off at 7:30. Reporting live from Arrowhead Stadium, Zoldy DeJungen for KSNT Sports.
All right, thank you, Zoldy. Stay warm, and I bet if you wore red, you'd be even warmer. And right here after the game, a story you won't want to miss. 1 year as a free man after 16 years locked up for a murder he never committed. It's not a story you'd see on Netflix, but it's one that happened right here in Northeast Kansas to this man. Floyd Bledsoe was planning on spending the rest of his life in prison until a year ago. New evidence and a confession from the actual murderer set him free. Now, a year later, Bledsoe admits there are unanswered questions.
Not only do I believe I have a right to know, but I think the public has a right to know, so that they can see the truth.
We'll tell you what questions he has tonight on KSNT News at 10, as well as where he's working now and how he met his girlfriend. Don't miss this story tonight on KSNT News at 10.
A death row inmate convicted of killing his family will face the Kansas Supreme Court later this month. James Craig Kaler was sentenced to death in 2009 for shooting and killing his estranged wife, her grandmother, and his 16 and 18-year-old daughters. The state Supreme Court is set to hear his appeal argument on December 16th. Kaler is raising several issues, claiming trial error and issues with his death sentence. A Manhattan fire is now being investigated as an arson. Riley County officials are searching for a suspect who started a fire less than a dozen blocks away from Kansas State's campus. It happened in the 400 block of Vatier Street Monday afternoon. If you have any information on this case, you're asked to call Riley County Crime Stoppers at the number on your screen.
It's a special day for the Kansas Highway Patrol. Today, 34 new troopers graduated from the KHP Training Academy. Here's a look at the KHP Class 56. They are the largest graduating class since 2002. Trooper Chad Crittenden with KHP says the numbers have been very small over the years due to budget cuts or simply a lack of interest. The new recruits hope to make positive changes within the patrol, such as recruiting more women and tweaking payment plans to bring about pay increases. Former astronaut and U.S. Senator John Glenn has died in Ohio today at the age of 95. The John Glenn School of Public Affairs says Glenn died this afternoon at the James Cancer Hospital in Columbus. Glenn became a national hero in 1962 when he became the first American to orbit Earth.
He was the third U.S. astronaut in space and the first of them to get into orbit. Glenn spent 24 years in the Senate and briefly made a run for president in 1984. He returned to space in 1998 at age 77 aboard Space Shuttle Discovery. A suspect who shot 2 Georgia officers is now dead.
Coming up, we've got the latest details on the manhunt that has left Georgia police looking for hope. Arrowhead Stadium now as we get closer to kickoff for the Chiefs and Raiders. Matt Gasper will have a preview for us in just a few minutes.
And tonight we are looking at some very cold temperatures out ahead of us as we head through the night. A mainly clear sky and very cold, but few scattered clouds start rolling our way tomorrow and more so into the weekend. A look at that coming up after the break.